Hi everybody, welcome back to Story Corner. Grab yourselves a dram, a coffee, combine the two if you're feeling adventurous, entirely up to you. This is a story I heard fairly recently, and it's an old story from the Isle of Skye. And this is called The Dream Makers. I hope you enjoy it. So this story starts with a group of girls on their way for a day's berry picking. They didn't just want any berries, they wanted the best. And everybody knew that the best berries grew in the shadows of the Black Cuillin Mountains. They set off without a care in the world, laughing, joking, having a great time. When they got to work, one of them wasn't bothered about laughing and joking anymore. She had a job to do, and she was going to do it well. So she focused, head down, picking the berries. She went further and further and higher, without realising that she was leaving her friends behind. By the time she'd filled her basket, she looked up. She wasn't in the shadows of the Cuillins anymore. She was in the mountains themselves. And no idea where she was or how to get back. She started to wander around, trying to look for a path, but and a thick fog rolled in. Her mind was racing with what to do. You know, if she stumbled on, she could fall off a cliff or down a gorge, but if she stayed where she was, then the things that lived in the mountains might get her. Wolves or giants or something worse. Just when she thought things couldn't get any worse, she saw a pair of eyes peering at her through the fog. No, not a pair of eyes. Dozens of eyes. And noses. And ears. And there was a herd of deer. She was laughing with relief when one of the deer stepped forward and nodded at her. She stared blankly back because, well, there was a deer. She had this strong feeling it was beckoning her. You know, without many other options, she just set off through the mountains with the mysterious deer. And it travelled for hours, up and down and round, and she was starting to wish she'd been rescued by a nicely saddled horse instead of a deer. Eventually they arrived at the entrance to a hidden cave, deep in the mountains. This wasn't exactly what the girl was expecting. So she followed the leading deer into the cave entrance, and to her surprise it wasn't empty. An old man and an old woman were sitting like statues on two chairs, staring deep into a pool of water. And when I say they were old, I don't mean retired, I mean they looked thousands of years old. They weren't moving. Maybe they were dead, or maybe they were sleeping. Deer trotted up to the old lady and seemed to whisper in her ear. She finally looked up. She stared straight into the girl's eyes. There was something mesmerising about those eyes. The old woman shuffled over and the girl did the only thing she could think of. She offered up her berries and asked if she could stay for the night, just, in exchange for all of her bounty. The old woman, she shuffled back to the old man and she whispered in his ear. The girl just saw the faintest of nods. The woman came back, she smiled, she finally spoke. No, you can't stay for one night. You can only stay for a year and a night, or you can leave. I'm old and I need help with my work these days. Yeah, it seemed a little bit like kidnapping, but the girl had this strong feeling deep down that this is what she was meant to do. She had no idea what it was that this mysterious old couple did, but she was willing to learn. So the very next day, she helped a woman pick special herbs around the mountains in the morning. Then in the afternoon, that herd of deer would come back to be milked. Together, she mixed the milk into a soft cheese called crowdie. Then it was time she passed the bucket over to the old man, and he would stare into the pool of water, engrossed in whatever it was he saw. Then he would take a lump of cheese and he would work it in his hands. He would mould it and shape it. The girl was baffled, but the old woman explained that those were dreams. That was the pool of life. The old couple were the dream makers. The girl watched with her mouth hanging open as the old man would pick up his cheesy sculptures and he would raise them above his head. One by one, birds swooped into the cave, grabbed the crowdie from the offered hand before flying off again. Beautiful, majestic birds would grab the packages from his right hand. Eagles and falcons and like. These were the pleasant dreams of love and adventures. Out of the left hand, it was crows and ravens and those evil seagulls that steal chips from wee kids. They were snatching nightmares of monsters and tragedies. So the girl carried on with her work, learning more all the time. Every day, it was the same. Every night, the old man would make the dreams, and then every night the birds would carry them away. The sleeping people all around the world just dream on blissfully unaware. And a year and a night passed, and the time came for the girl to leave. The old woman thanked her for her help and told her, "The deer will take you back down through the Cuillin Mountains." But she hadn't worked all this time for nothing. Her reward would be waiting for her. So, the girl, she followed the herd of deer as it picked its way down tracks that she'd never seen before, all the way down until they reached the shore. This definitely wasn't the way back home. But, on balance, at least she wasn't in the mountains anymore. So the girl, she thanked the deer and she turned and thought she would just walk along the coast until she found somewhere she recognised. But the deer wouldn't let her go. It was nudging her. And she turned to see what on earth it was doing. And all the herd were just staring out to sea. There was a tiny little sail that was just bobbing away in the distance, and she could hardly make it out. And that tiny sail, it got bigger and bigger and bigger until she could make out a small boat with just one man inside. He was a strapping young lad wearing fine rich clothes with a heavy gold necklace, and his long hair was flowing. You get the idea. He jumped out the boat as soon as it beached. With tears in his eyes, he ran up to the girl. He said, "I can't believe I found you. I've dreamed of you every night for a year and a night, and I followed those dreams to search for you. I know you don't know me, but I have fallen madly in love with you. If you'll have me, then you will be a princess at my home, and eventually you'll be a queen." The girl just knew. She just knew again that this was right. Just listening to him speak, she'd already fallen in love with the prince. She left the deer behind on that beach in Skye, and she sailed away to her new home. She became their queen, and she was loved, not just for her kindness and her good deeds, but because she taught them the meanings of dreams. Well, I hope you enjoyed the story as much as I enjoyed telling it. It's a proper happy ever after ending, which very rarely happens in these. So enjoy that one while it lasts. Slash it.